Well, then my client will suffer a financial loss because of his injuries.
No question about it. It's going to be quite a number of weeks before he's able to get back to work.
Dr. Quartermain's office. Well, Dr. Monica Quartermain, I'm sorry. This is Dr. Alan Quartermain's office. Well, you're welcome.
You know, Alan, when I was coming in, I heard Monica's name being paged all over this hospital.
Hmm?
Dr. Quartermain's office? No, Dr. Monica Quartermain is not here. Wait, I'll have you transferred.
You were saying, Alan?
I'm sorry, what?
About my client's injuries.
Oh, yeah, no question about it.
Would you be willing to appear in court on behalf of my client and your patient?
Well, I was hoping that a deposition would...
Yes, I'm sure Dr. Quartermain will be delighted to pass on your compliments about Monica's lead article in the medical journal. Well, I'll make a note. Oh, I'm to say brilliant article? I'll do it. And thank you.
You know what? This woman has written an article for a national medical journal, and you would think she'd rewritten the American Constitution. Is the meeting over?
Well, unless you got a couple of free minutes.
Well...
It may be too soon to talk about this, but I thought this might be of interest to a doctor of your stature.
A doctor of my stature? Okay, I got a couple of minutes.
Well, perhaps this isn't the time to go into it.
Well, I don't know what's on your mind.
Well, you know, it's funny.
What's funny?
Nothing has changed around here.
What do you mean?
Well, at the hospital, the same old people are running it. Steve and Dan and your father are still riding her on board of directors.
Yeah, well, my father's pretty well got the position nailed down, doesn't he?
Yeah, but what surprises me the most is they haven't found someone that's young and vital and brilliant like yourself. You should be chief of staff now.
You're absolutely right. I should be chief of staff. But it's a matter of politics, isn't it?
You know what else surprises me? I don't think I should go into it, though.
Come on, say what's on your mind.
Well, Monica, she gets like star billing around here.
Let me tell you something, Scott. If you blow your horn enough, somebody eventually is going to listen. Now, you know what my problem is?
Well, I can't imagine.
I don't blow my horn enough.
Well, then you need somebody behind you that really understands your full capabilities.
I got my mother.
No, I'm serious. Come on. Alan, we live in a jungle.
Yes, we do. So let us be serious then for one moment, and you tell me exactly what's on your mind.
You're very busy, and I don't want to take up your time.
Scott, sit down and tell me what's on your mind.
Okay. You say so. Alan,
Let's stop beating around the bush, and please tell me exactly what's going on in your mind.
Well, I don't know if it's the right move for me here in Port Charles, but in Florida, I was very successful at hospital takeovers.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of that lately, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it requires a big investment, but after a year or two of top management, we usually end up in the black, and we usually try and get financially sound men that are also highly skilled doctors to assist in the restructure of the hospital. Men like you. And they're very hard to find, Alan.
Men like me, huh?
Yes.
And isn't that interesting that you should find a man just like me right here in Port Charles?
Well, it requires money.
I've got money.
And we are well aware of your skill and talent.
Well, that's not for me to say.
Too modest?
Not really.
Alan, listen, I was just
You know what, Monica? That's why I have a secretary. Sometimes it simply is not convenient to have visitors walk in unannounced.
Well, not me. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Monica. You look good.
Oh, come on. Scrubs here.
Well, some women can wear anything and look stunning.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm not sure that pertains to me, but I'll take your word for it.
We're in the middle of a meeting, and it's important.
Well, that's fine. It's only going to take a second.
Well, every second counts.
Come on, Alan. Stop being so pompous.
Okay, then, Monica. What is it?
Well, what it is that there are a few people, some guys, Tony, Patrick, Tom, a couple of others that are treating me to lunch at the Floating Rib. I wondered if you would join us.
I don't really have time to mess around with something like that today, Monica. I'm sorry.
You don't? Oh, well, it's just the fact that there are a few people that are complimenting me on the article that I wrote for the medical journal.
You know, I haven't read it yet. Not that I could understand it, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Well, thank you, Scott. That's more than I have heard from my husband on that subject.
Well, I am going to get around to reading it one of these days.
Oh, well, listen, don't rush, Alan. I mean, it just might be a strain on your eyesight, not to mention your intelligence.
It's just a matter of finding the time.
I see, and you are so very busy, and I am so sorry to have interrupted. Goodbye.
I cannot believe how important she thinks that article is. I never realized how insecure she was. I'll tell you what, it's just as well that she's got this fan club from General Hospital. At least it'll give her the feeling she's not walking around in my shadow all the time.
That could be pitiful.
I don't really think it's pitiful. You know what? If it makes her happy, it makes me happy. Now, please go on and tell me more about your experiences in these hospital takeovers.
Alan, you're busy.
I'm very well organized with my time, Scout.
Well, there's another sign of a true executive.
Fine. Then please go on.
Well, the trouble is, I'm late for court. I'm handling one of Jake's clients.
I really want to go into this in more depth.
Good. Well, let's set some time aside and we'll talk about it.
Very soon.
Okay. So long.
Bye-bye.
Sandra, I was out at a meeting. Were there any messages? Nothing? What about my appointments for the rest of the day? Nothing? Okay, well, I'll be here if you need me. Just give a call. Yeah. Bye. That's very sad.
Father.
Well, your secretary just said to barge right in.
Oh, what brings you downtown today?
Oh, I'm escaping from all those congratulatory phone calls coming to the house from Monica.
Oh, yeah, about her article, yeah?
And of course, there are some calls from several high places in Washington.
Well, you know, some people will do anything for a vote.
Alan, let's level with each other. You're slipping.
I'm what? That's about all the leveling I want from you today, okay?
Your prestige is slipping.
Really, Father?
I'm saying this out of love.
Well, how nice.
Do you realize you have to learn to play politics in a hospital like this? Now, you're not going to tell me you're above it all, are you?
No, I'm not going to say that at all, but I will tell you that I do have some irons in the fire.
Well, that's not good enough. You have to play with the big boys. I mean, that's where your medical future lies. Now, look, I'm going to have lunch today with Steve and Dan, and, couldn't hurt for you to tag along. Care to have lunch with us?
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can clear my calendar. Sandra, I'm going to have to cancel all my appointments for the rest of the afternoon. Yes, I know, well, you'll just have to make some kind of excuse to them, that's all. I'm busy. I have a very important business luncheon with my father and a few other members of the staff. So you take care of that for me, thank you.
Come on, move it.
I am moving it.
But these are important people, Steve and Dan. I mean, they've got business they've got to attend to. So come on, let's
Anybody
move it
else
out.
going to be there? Anybody else going to be there? I mean, that's important.
Me.
There you are, that'll do it. Thank you.
I'm absolutely serious. I was there. I saw the results of the test.
Oh.
Well, when do you think the FDA will give its approval?
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, you or Tony should go to Washington and make a pitch.
Why not Patrick? Oh, no, not me. I am too short-tempered with bureaucratic matters. I'm too unpolished.
Well, I was thinking of recommending Tony.
Hey, I didn't write the article. I'm not going to stir things up. I think you have to go to Washington.
Any static on your article yet?
No, but there will be.
Hey, I thought it was just great.
What do you take for heartburn, Edward?
Well, I don't get it too often. Of course, I watch my diet.
Well, I try to, but sometimes up there in administration, I get so rushed, I wind up grabbing a donut or a Danish on the way by.
That's not very smart, Dan.
That's what I tell myself every time I get heartburn. But I go right on.
Alan, that old ulcer of yours, has it been acting up lately?
My old what?
Just listen to those young Turks, will you?
What do you think, Tom?
Well, I made a study of it in New York. It's a question of about 5 minutes delay in emergency treatment.
Can you afford the 5 minutes?
Well, yes, if it alleviates some of the panic in the heart attack victim.
Yes, that's important, but there's just been so much written about it, both pro and con.
So where do you stand?
Well, I'm all for relieving stress as soon as possible. What do you think, Patrick? You've been on emergencies with me.
I don't suppose any of us here bounce out of bed in the morning the way they do.
Yeah, I get up in sections now.
Remember when we used to get that steamed?
Oh, yeah. That was back in the old days when this place was called the Isle of Capri.
I'm sorry, I was never a young man in Port Charles.
Well, that's too bad. You would have met the owner, the former owner of Papa Costello and his daughter, Annette. Who?
Well, don't look at me. I'm a late comer.
Come to think of it, it was not Annette, it was Angie.
Oh, sounds intriguing.
Oh, yes, she's quite pretty, that young girl.
I've got a few watering holes of my own that I remember.
This used to be the gathering place for the GA staff many years ago.
Yeah.
Life was a lot simpler then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Back in the good old days.
So that settles it. You are going to go to Washington for us because you have the stature and the youth. It's true. The youth, definitely.
Well, I suppose one of these days I've got to have somebody look at my gallbladder.
You must come in for a checkup sometime soon, Edward.
I had my gallbladder removed, and I feel much better for it.
Onto things you can't eat or drink.
Oh, you have to be careful. No spicy food, too much alcohol.
I have to watch it.
Well, I'll tell you something that came up this morning that I found very interesting. I had a talk with Scott Baldwin.
Please, Alan, don't wreck our lunch. As I was saying, when this place was called the Isle of Capri, I got very involved with Angie's problems.
Here comes the soup, I think.
All right. Thank you.
All right, toast.
To Monica. Here, Monica. Here.